The next step in building a GPT-3-based meeting scheduler chatbot is to set up and connect to the GPT-3 API. This will give you access to the GPT-3 model and allow you to make requests to it. The first step is to sign up for an OpenAI API key. This can be done by visiting the OpenAI website and creating an account. Once you have an API key, you can use it to connect to the GPT-3 API and make requests to it. The GPT-3 API has different endpoints available for different use cases. For example, the DaVinci endpoint is optimized for general-purpose tasks, while the Curie endpoint is optimized for answering questions. It's important to choose the appropriate endpoint for your specific use case. Once you have an API key and have selected the appropriate endpoint, you can use any programming language or framework to connect to the API and make requests. The process of connecting to the API will vary depending on the programming language or framework you are using. It's important to note that using the GPT-3 API requires an internet connection, and that using the API will incur costs. You can check the OpenAI website for the pricing details and usage limits. By setting up and connecting to the GPT-3 API, you will be able to access the GPT-3 model and make requests to it, which will be the foundation for building your chatbot. In the next step, you will learn how to train and fine-tune the model to perform the tasks you want your chatbot to do. It's also important to note that GPT-3 has a number of different models available, each with different capabilities and use cases. For example, the DaVinci and Curie models mentioned earlier are optimized for general-purpose tasks and answering questions respectively, but there are also models optimized for specific industries such as healthcare and finance. When deciding which model to use, it's important to consider the specific use case of your chatbot and the types of tasks it will be performing. This will help you choose the most appropriate model for your needs and ensure the best performance for your chatbot. In addition to choosing the appropriate model, it's also important to consider the input and output format of the API. The GPT-3 API accepts input in the form of text and returns output in the form of text as well. Therefore, it's important to format the input text in a way that the API can understand and process it. This may require some knowledge of natural language processing, NLP, and understanding of the GPT-3 models. It's also important to note that, in order to improve the performance of the model, it's important to fine-tune it with the specific use case of your chatbot. This can be done by providing the model with specific examples of the tasks you want it to perform and training it on these examples. It's also important to have a good amount of data to fine-tune the model. By setting up and connecting to the GPT-3 API, you will be able to access the GPT-3 model, make requests to it and fine-tune it for your specific use case, which will be the foundation for building your chatbot. It is also important to note that the use of GPT-3 API may require some programming knowledge or working with a developer to create the script or integration. Additionally, it's important to check the API documentation for the appropriate usage of the API with your chatbot.